This happened to me last summer in Tampa. I'm Zara, and I lived in this crappy apartment complex called Sunshine Terrace. Yeah, I know the name sounds fancy, but trust me, it wasn't. So anyway, we had this massive power outage. The whole neighborhood went dark around 8 p.m. and stayed that way. It was like 95 degrees outside with crazy humidity, and our AC died with everything else. Everyone opened their windows and doors trying to get some air moving. I remember my neighbor Mrs. Chen complaining about her ice cream melting all over her freezer. By 2 a.m., I was still awake, sweating like crazy. That's when I heard this soft tapping sound. Tap, tap, tap. Real quiet, coming from the stairwell window. I figured it was just a tree branch or something hitting the glass. Tampa gets these random storms sometimes. But then the tapping moved. I heard it at my bedroom window next. Same rhythm, same softness. Tap, tap, tap. I got up to look but couldn't see anything in the dark. The streetlights were dead too. I went back to bed thinking maybe it was some kid messing around. You know how kids get during summer break. Next morning, my downstairs neighbor Marcus was talking to the building manager, this old guy named Pete. They found a ladder wedged between the fire escapes on the 3rd and 4th floors. Pete was pissed because nobody in the building owned that ladder. It was just there, like someone had used it and left it behind. Probably some contractor, Pete mumbled. But what contractor works at 2 a.m. during a blackout? A week later, things got weird. My keys went missing from my kitchen counter. Just vanished. Then Mrs. Chen mentioned her spare cash from her purse was gone. $20, nothing huge. We all figured maybe we misplaced stuff during the chaos of the outage. But then, Keisha from apartment 4B found food wrappers under her couch. Granola bar wrappers she'd never seen before. And when she was changing her sheets, there was hair on her pillow. Long, greasy hair that definitely wasn't hers. Keisha has short braids. That shit freaked us all out. Pete finally checked the security cameras. Most of them were dead during the outage, but one battery backup caught something. This figure, real skinny, moving across the balconies like a spider. The footage was grainy, but you could see them slipping through doors that people had left cracked open for air. The cops came by, took statements, said it was probably homeless people looking for somewhere to crash. They called them squatters and told us to keep our doors locked. Real helpful. But here's what really messes with my head. When Keisha was cleaning out her closet after all this, she found a phone charger plugged into her wall outlet, still warm. And her phone showed someone had been using her Wi-Fi for days, downloading movies and stuff while she was at work. Someone had been living in our building, moving apartment to apartment, sleeping in our beds, eating our food, using our stuff. During that hot night when everyone had their windows open, this person just walked right in. The power came back, people started using AC again, windows got closed and locked. Everything went back to normal. But sometimes during heat waves, when people prop their doors open again, I hear about missing items. Small stuff. Food from fridges. Soap from bathrooms. The cops think it's different people each time. Pete installed better locks, but I still check my ceiling vents sometimes. Because the idea that someone could just slip into the cracks of your normal life, live alongside you without you knowing, that keeps me awake on hot nights. I always lock my windows now, even when it's blazing hot outside. I'd rather sweat than wonder who might be listening. My name's Zane, and this happened last August when I was driving back from my cousin's place in Cedar Rapids. I know people say you shouldn't trust strangers, but sometimes you just don't have a choice. So I'd been at this backyard bonfire thing all evening. Nothing fancy, just burgers and beer, but I stayed way later than I planned. My cousin Jake makes these insane s'mores with chocolate chip cookies instead of graham crackers. Anyway, I finally left around midnight because I had work the next day. The drive home to Davenport usually takes about 2 hours on Route 9. It's this old 2-lane road that cuts through farmland. During the day, it's pretty enough, but at night it gets real dark real fast. No streetlights, just your headlights, and maybe the moon if you're lucky. About halfway home, My car started making this weird coughing sound. Then the engine just died. I coasted to the shoulder and tried starting it again. Nothing. The temperature gauge was fine. I had gas, but it was like the thing just gave up on me. I was sitting there wondering if I should call someone when I saw headlights coming up behind me. This white van pulled over with its hazards blinking. A guy got out and walked over to my window. He looked normal enough, maybe 40, wearing jeans and a polo shirt. Had this friendly smile that reminded me of my dad's golf buddies. "Car trouble?" he asked. I explained what happened and he nodded like he'd seen it before. "Sounds like your battery connections came loose," he said. "Happens all the time in this heat. I've got some tools, but I need to stop at the Shell station up ahead first. Need to grab a part." The nearest gas station was about 5 minutes away. He seemed genuinely helpful, so I said sure. He told me to follow him in case my car started up again. We drove to this little convenience store that was still open. I watched him go inside while I tried my engine again. Still nothing. Through the window, I could see him walking around the aisles real slow, like he was browsing. He picked up a few things and went to the counter. When he came back out, he was carrying a small plastic bag. "Got what I needed," he said, but something about his tone sounded different. Less friendly, more focused. He popped my hood and started messing around with the battery cables. Sure enough, he tightened something and told me to try starting it. The engine turned over immediately. "You're all set," he said, wiping his hands on a rag. "Should get you home just fine." I thanked him and offered him $20, but he waved it off. Said he was just being neighborly. I drove home thinking how lucky I was to meet someone decent. The next morning, I found a receipt that must have fallen out of his bag near my car. Just ordinary stuff. Energy drink, beef jerky, small roll of duct tape, zip ties. Weird combination, but people buy random shit all the time. About a week later, my buddy Marcus, who works dispatch, told me something that made my skin crawl. There'd been 3 missing person reports along Route 9 in the past month. All young people whose cars had broken down late at night. Witnesses mentioned seeing a white van with hazard lights helping stranded drivers. I never reported my encounter because technically nothing happened to me. But I keep thinking about how easy it would have been. How I just followed him to that isolated gas station without question. How he knew exactly what was wrong with my car. Sometimes I wonder if my battery cables really came loose by themselves, or if someone who knew that stretch of road helped them along. I'm Jake, just a regular guy from Boise, Idaho. Last summer, me and my buddies rented this house with a pool for a party. It was July, hot as hell, and the pool looked like a black mirror under the string lights. We were all laughing, music blasting, beers in hand. My cousin Leo brought his kid, Toby, and some other kids were there too, splashing around. The pool pump hummed loud, kinda annoying, but nobody cared much. I remember my flip-flops kept sticking to the deck from spilled soda. Felt normal, you know? The kids were daring each other to hold their breath near the deep end. Toby, this skinny 10-year-old, was all cocky about it. "I can stay under longer than anyone," he bragged. We adults were distracted, grilling burgers, joking about dumb stuff like my buddy Nate's ugly new tattoo. But then, I heard this weird gurgle from the pool. Not a splash, just wrong. I looked over, and the kids were counting, waiting for Toby to pop up. He didn't. I froze. My heart was pounding, but I told myself he was just messing around. "Toby, quit it!" I yelled, walking to the edge. Nothing. The water was still, reflecting those damn lights. Leo dove in, splashing like crazy, screaming Toby's name. The other kids started crying. I ran to the pump house thinking maybe, I don't know, something was stuck? The pump was whining, louder than before, like it was choking. I noticed the drain grate had this tiny crack, barely visible. My hands were shaking as I yanked the pump's cover off. Rusty bolts, corroded pipes, looked like nobody touched it in years. Leo pulled Toby out, blue and limp. I'll never forget that sight. We did CPR, called 911, but it was too late. The paramedics said the pump's suction was too strong, maybe from that cracked grate. Toby got caught. I kept thinking, why didn't I check that shit earlier? I'm no pool expert, but I should have noticed something. The rental company sent emails later, all routine inspections completed. But I found old maintenance logs online. Photos showed rusted fittings, ignored for months. Some supervisor just stamped clear to keep the place booked. They didn't care. After, we found a message thread from the rental staff. One guy wrote, "Pump's acting up again, but owner says keep it running. Mortgage ain't cheap." They knew. I felt sick. The news made a big deal for a week. Tragic pool accident in Boise. Then, nothing. The house went back on the rental site, pool sparkling like it never happened. I drive by sometimes, see new people partying, kids swimming. It's like Toby's gone, but the pool doesn't care. I can't sleep some nights. The floorboards in my apartment creak when my dog Rusty runs across them, and I jump, thinking it's that pump's hum. I keep wondering if I missed something that night. Some sign. Why didn't I stop the kids? I don't go near pools anymore. The water looks too still, too dark, like it's waiting. I don't know what really happened down there, but I feel it watching me, even now.